Hey peeps, it's Dems. Another month has gone by, so you know what it means. It's devlog time! Whoa! So I started this month by continuing the work on Mika's model from last month. I did some retopoing here and there, especially on the hair, and made the model more cohesive all around. However, at this point, I was kinda burnt out, so I thought I should take a break from 3D modeling and try to do something else. So I figured, hey, having 3D models for the characters is nice and all, but I feel like I'm forgetting something. Then it hit me. The code I broke. That threaded code I wrote previously was messy and broken. I still haven't done the whole Git integration thing, so it was time to fix that. I put on my programming gloves, grabbed the documentation, and it was time to write some damn code. First thing I did was to set up Git. My code was broken enough and I didn't need to keep breaking things further beyond, so having version control was priority 0. I started with creating a new folder with Git and moving my project over there. I could probably have turned the current folder holding the project into a Git one, but I kinda forgot that was possible until it was already done. In the end though, it was for the better because I kept getting the same ink error over and over again. But once I switched folders, it just disappeared, so that was a win. After the initial Git setup was done, it was time to fix shit. I mentioned before that I was following a tutorial for making the overworld portion of the game. I couldn't remember what exact part of the code was broken or how to fix it, so I went back and watched a couple of the episodes to try and see where my code was different and see if I could fix it that way. I thought it was going to be tedious, but it was over pretty fast. Turns out, it was easier to fix than I thought, so that was another thing checked off the list. Then I turned to the character panel. I got this from Stellar Studio series on how to make a visual novel in Unity. The way it's set up is super clever actually. It's intended to work with 2D sprites, but I just changed some bits around to make it work with 3D models instead. And yes, that Roblox/Minecraft looking character is supposed to be airy. I'll get around to making a proper 3D model for her in due time. At this point, characters can show up properly on the screen whenever you talk to an NPC. I kept going through Stellar Studios videos and adapted a bit more of their code here and there. The only issue is that there's no way to control where the character appears or when they appear on screen, so it was time to write some more code to handle that. The first thing I did was try to work on the where part, so I spent some time setting up a script that allowed me to press a key to move blocky area around. Then I would just execute the function to move blocky area around to a certain position on screen with a certain speed, and also I added a boolean which would let me move her smoothly or not. So here I am testing this out and I thought I did the math correctly, but then this happened. Oops, well, there she goes. I kinda went back and forth with this and I wasn't getting anywhere, so I decided to tackle the other issue, the when part. So adapting some more code from Stellar Studio, I added the ability for characters to appear invisible at first, but then let them appear on screen on demand. It wasn't perfect, it was hard-coded, and I still wasn't sure how to properly trigger it from the scripted dialogue with any given character on the fly. I went back and forth with this too, until I decided to leave it for later as I couldn't come up with a way to properly handle the whole thing yet. That day I was hanging out on the game's Discord, and someone suggested that I should add a slow text feature to the dialogue system so I could give emphasis to certain lines. I thought that was a great idea and a nice break from all the roadblocks I was running into, so I did. Bam, slow text. Since that was working properly, I decided to tackle something that I promised on the first devlog. I know it's basic, but it's nice to have. It just makes the game feel more responsive. That's the infamous click to continue widget. I don't know if it goes by any other name, I just got used to calling it that way since my Rampage days. This was painless, I just set up the thingy on a corner of the text box and just enable and disable it whenever it was needed. Easy peasy. I was using the synthetic heart logo for this at first, but I ended up making a custom animated sprite for it later on. At this point I was pretty happy with how things were coming out, but there was still a lot of work to do. Namely, I still had to figure out how to move and show/hide characters on demand via the dialogue script, so I finally bit the bullet and got to work on that. Somewhere along the way I found this particular series of tutorials. There was one particular video I wanted to check on it. The tags one. I already had tags implemented on my engine, however they were pretty lackluster and there was a lot of foundational work to do still. And even if it was tempting to just jump into the tags video, I figured I should check the previous videos too. And man, that was a great decision. Using Trever tutorial series, I fixed a ton of bugs that were there since ages. and I added some other features that were nice to have. Seriously, these tutorials helped me a ton. If you're interested in Ink and Unity integration, go check those videos out. Alright, so I arrived at the tags video and I did some work on my tags system. Without getting too technical, let's say the previous system worked like this. You had a tag that started with the hashtag character, and then the name of the tag, and then a space, and then the value. While that made sense at first, one of the things I found really annoying is that I couldn't set up empty mains for when Yuri was speaking to himself or when he interacted with some object on the map. I also noticed names that had spaces wouldn't be possible either. Trever's method made a lot more sense, treating tags like a key value per object. So you have the hashtag character, then the name of the tag, then a colon, and finally the value. This way I could just hashtag name, colon, and the name tag will appear empty. Hooray! Once I got that out of the way, it was finally definitely time to start thinking about how to handle the characters. I thought hard and long about the way to do it, to no avail. One of the limitations I have with this tag system is that I can only call a tag with a single value. So if I wanted to do something like, hey, let's move Eri to the left of the screen, the move tag will have to have two parameters. Eri, which is the character I want to move, and left, which is the position I want her in on the screen. Given how the system was set up, this was impossible. But then, one day I was about to go to sleep and it just came to me. All this time, all I wanted to do was to target a single character, to move them around, to play different animations. So, if I want to target a single character, you know where this is going, right? Nothing was stopping me from creating a target tag, which would take a single parameter, the targeted character. Then this targeted character will be stored in a variable that the other tags like move or display could reference to know which character to affect. I seriously don't know why I didn't think of this sooner. In hindsight, it was a pretty easy solution. Oh well, truth be told, I was really happy with this. One of the things I said on the previous devlog was that it would be nice to have the characters appear on screen and move around and stuff. And it was finally going to be possible, so I was super excited at this point. There were a couple of things I still needed to take care of, but it was enough for that, and I needed some sleep. The next day, I started going through the rest of Trever Mock's tutorials, and with their help, I added persistent variables and I fixed a bug with the words at the edge of the text box wrapping incorrectly. I also wanted to add skippable text, but for some reason I couldn't get it working at that point, so I left it for later on. All in all, this project is slowly starting to feel like a real game, somewhat. You can tag to NPCs, and they remember you talk to them, you can make choices and change the story, you can interact with objects on the map, and so on. It's slowly building up to what I have in mind. There's one thing left to do now, add the 3D models. I did some more work on Mika's model, but unfortunately I wasn't able to get her finished for this devlog. However, I got tired of looking at this flat gray colored mesh, so I decided to at least add some basic materials and lazily texture painted her eyes. There we go. Much better. I spent some time trying to import the model into Unity. Now, at this point, I don't know whatever the hell I'm doing. I'm just being guided by intuition. I couldn't import the materials from Blender directly into Unity. I don't know if this was a mistake on my part or what. I've been warned this would happen though, so that's probably on me. I didn't have any more time since the deadline for this devlog was approaching, so you all will have to bear with soulless eyes Mika. After fiddling a bit with the positioning of the model and all that, I finally got it where I wanted. However, time is running out, so this is all I could fit in this month's devlog. There's definitely a lot to do still. For example, I still need a 3D model for Yuri, one for Eri and one for Ayla. And I still gotta finish Mika's one. You know, put some textures on her and all that. Also, animations. I don't think I need a ton of them right now, but at least I need some basic idle animations and some facial expressions. After that, I think I should probably add some polish to the dialogue system. There's still a bug that makes it so it's impossible to select choices using the accept button. So I have to use the mouse or the enter key, which are hard-coded. I should probably add something like darkening the overworld a bit so the text box and the 3D characters have a better contrast whenever the text box appears on the screen. I haven't got the time to finish the skippable text not working also. And lastly, I would love to add a log so you can go back and read what the character said again. I bet that's gonna be a challenge to code, but to even begin coding a log, I will have to code in some menus, so that's going to be exciting, I hope. Alright peeps, I think that's all for this month. Thank you so much for watching, and like and subscribe and all that, and I'll see you next month. Adios.